We'll have a moment of silence, please. All right, this may be a pretty short meeting. We are having a special call meeting. The first item of business, we do need to adopt the agenda. Everyone received a proposed agenda prior to tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Dudley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Okay, that motion does pass. We're missing a member. Okay, we got everybody. All right, next item of business. You all will recall, I think, at our last board meeting that statutorily we were required to appoint a special question committee in order to conduct a poll of our employees to see if they want a collaborative conference. And so we're going to be getting a report from Mr. Pennings, but I'm understanding from Mr. Pennings, you all just completed the vote, and so you all are still counting fingers and toes and are not, your special question committee is not ready to complete its report to us tonight.
No, we're not ready to complete a report tonight. They've indicated that they want collaborative conferencing, and tonight at this meeting, what we need to do is appoint the committee. But the way I understand it, we have to have 7 members for that committee.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pennings. You are correct. The statute says that the board, we have to appoint 7 representatives, or 7 up to 11. We can go have actually 11 for management personnel is what the statute says. Now, I think in the past, we've just appointed board members. The statute actually, though, it says you appoint management personnel as representatives. And so I've discussed this with Dr. Marzak, and we've put together a proposal for consideration by the board. But the boards, ultimately, you all are free to, we can have more than 7, or you all can change this however that you want. But in discussing with this, with the director, what we discuss is having 3 board members and then 4 members from management. And some of that makes sense, I guess. What the statute says, you're supposed to have management personnel. It's probably good to have some people that are representatives that, like human resources, that are going to be familiar with some of those things that are going to be discussed that board members may not be up to date on. And so what the proposal that we have for discussion is for the board, I was going to nominate Mr. Pennings, Mr. Lindsay, and Mr. Moore as board representatives. And in discussing with the director, it's my understanding the director is proposing the director to serve on the as a representative, Mr. Gaines, since he's over curriculum and academics, Ms. Hargrove, since she's with human resources, and then also the director would like to have 1 representative of the principals. And so what we would leave, if that is okay with the board, we would actually just leave it as a principal representative to be determined by the director. So that would be what we're proposing as far as the slate of representatives to represent management personnel in collaborative conference. And I'll open the floor for discussion to see if anyone has maybe a different viewpoint in what they want to do. Mr. Morrison.
Just one question. Are principals represented by MCEA?
According to Sue Ogg, who I had a meeting with the other day, some principals belong to it, some principals do not. However, she clearly made it known that when there is a dispute, they will side with the teacher first.
Say it once more and make sure I heard correctly.
Some principals belong to MCEA and some do not. However, in a meeting the other day with Ms. Sue Ogg, she said when there is a dispute, MCEA and TEA will side with the teacher first.
Okay, what about the principal? It would seem to me, and I am by no measure a labor relations type of person, but if we are going to appoint a principal as a part of our negotiating team, if you want to call it, our conferencing team, then their allegiance needs to be with the board, not with the teachers. So I'm not comfortable necessarily with having a member, whether they're represented or not. I'm just not sure that's not somewhat of a conflict of interest that we'd be putting the principal in.
And certainly, if that is a concern, I think if the director was wanting to have somebody there, maybe we could have a supervisor instead of a principal to serve in that role. Would that be acceptable to the director?
That would be acceptable. The reason why I was looking for a principal to represent those people that are most closely related to working with teachers, to really have a clear understanding. One of the things I can do, if it is the will of the board, is to get a principal nomination of somebody that is not a part of MCEA. That's something that we can definitely do. It's your decision about where you guys would like to go.
I think it's a good idea to have a principal on there, but I think if we can get a principal that's not associated with either one of the associations, it'd be a good idea. That way we can't be said we stack the board one way or the other.
Mr. Morrison.
Just let me clarify my position a little bit. It doesn't matter to me who they're affiliated with or who they represent. They need to have an open mind and vote. They're conscious about what those issues may be. And by what you told me a moment ago, that when it comes to a dispute, they're going to side with the teacher, you know, I have a problem with that. Now, if they can weigh the evidence or the pros and cons of an issue and vote based purely on that and not go in with preconceived side picked, so to speak, I don't have a problem. But if it sounds like that's not necessarily the case.
I can clearly say, in after meeting with all principals, doing my 22 and 22 tour, sitting down, having attended multiple principal meetings, I do not have any trepidation about a single principal in this district that wouldn't come to the table with an open mind and be willing to listen, discuss, and deliberate. I have no trepidation about any one of them.
And just as a point of clarification, the way I'm reading the statute, the way the statute's set up, no matter what is discussed and maybe is tentatively put together by the collaborative group, it has to come back to the board for approval. And we are the final decision makers on anything. And I think the statute is very clear. We don't have to approve anything, really. The way the statute has been changed, what it is the process of us being able to share with each other, I guess, concerns and maybe things that can be done. And so I guess the intent of the statute is to kind of have that collaborative spirit. And so I guess in some ways that does make sense to have a principal there to be involved in that can kind of give a viewpoint to the other board members. And we're going to have board members as well. And I think I'm hopeful that our board members, if there's a concern about somebody giving away the farm, they will let us know whenever this comes back to us. So, I'm certainly, again, this is just a proposal that the director and I will, in our discussions, put together for discussion. And so, again, I'm happy to hear from other board members on this. Mr. Lindsay.
The only question I have, and this is for Dr. Marzak, and the only time that we as a board have collaboratively conferenced was a couple of years ago when the new law was enacted. The only hesitation I have about it is, would that not be putting you and maybe that principal in a bad spot? Even though it's hard to say this without it sounding wrong, but it was not the last time an adversarial relationship. I mean, things were smooth but there is a possibility that maybe it could be. And my only concern would be, for you, but maybe even more so for the principal, that I just don't want to put you guys in a spot that you don't have to be in unless you just want to be in it.
And really, the way I'm looking at it is I'm looking at that first word, collaborative. I'm an employee of the board, so you are my employers. For me, what it is, it's us sitting around the table and having a discussion around the current health of teachers in our district. And I look at that as a prime opportunity for us to really have good dialogue, to have good discussion, and really understand that although after July 1st, 2011 was a changing turning point in our district and in our state, this is a better time than ever to help teachers understand that you are valuable to what we do every single day. As Ken Robinson states it, the health of a district is directly tied to the teachers that are in that district. He didn't talk about superintendents or principals or supervisors. He talked about teachers. And so by sitting at the table and by discussing and by talking, that's basically showing that we believe so strongly that teachers are important. We're willing to sit at the table with you and talk about what we can do to make this the healthiest district in the state of Tennessee, where teachers want to be and where teachers want to come. So we want to be a part of the process because we want teachers to understand that we believe in you and we want to work with you to make sure that not only that you stay, but also great teachers decide to come to Maury County as well.
And I'm fine with it either way. I just wanted to make sure that, and I'm not questioning you, but just want to make sure you know what you're getting into. Like I said, and I don't think it will this time. I mean, I think that we as a board, the last time we did it, as I think we will this time, we did everything that we can to please please your employees, and I think we will this time. That we'll do everything we can. I think we understand the value in teachers and other employees, and so I don't expect it to be any problems at all. But that was the only question I had. But I'm fine with whatever you guys want to do. So.
And I think if you're not sure what you're getting into, I think you asked me that same question during my interview when I sat over here at the table. I said I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't know what I was getting into. Same answer.
Is there any other discussion? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put into motion a nomination to serve as representatives on behalf of personnel management, which ultimately is on behalf of the board. Mr. Pennings, Mr. Lindsay, Mr. Moore, the director, Mr. Gaines, Ms. Hargrove, and a principal representative to be determined by the director. Second by Mr. Moore. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Moore?
Again, just to echo what I think Mr. Morrison said, as far as that, the unnamed principal, as long as we're bringing someone on board that is looking at it the same way as you discussed, someone that is open to look at this as a truly collaborative type discussion that's going to be taking place, and they are going to listen to all sides or listen to everything and come to it with an open mind, not any preconceived notions. I'm good with that.
Any other discussion? I'll just say, I'm very hopeful that this is the first step of what we probably already have in place, but we're going to continue to grow, just like Maury County is growing, where we're having a very a team approach to everything, because at the end of the day, if we want to see great things in our county, we're going to have to get everybody on board. And teachers are going to be one of the most, one of the main ingredients in that. So I think this is a good process. Mr. Pennings.
I've negotiated contracts before, and I've been on the board long enough. I think the teachers know how much we respect and love them, and I think they have the same feelings towards the school board. So I don't anticipate any problems at all. I truly don't.
Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. And that motion does pass. All right, that is all the items that we have on the agenda, and this is a special called meeting, so there's no other items to be discussed. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Pennings. All in favor, say aye.